Hello there. A few days ago, I played the first round in the season 21 of Lich's LoneWolf, and this time I play in the open tournament. So last season I played under 1800, but since I no longer apply for under 1800 and I wanted to play stronger players as well, I applied this time for open tournament. And this is my first game, so let's go right into it. I was white in this game, and my opponent opened with English opening with c4. I responded in the e6, maybe hoping to transpose to something like King's Gambit, Queen's Gambit decline, or some other structure, familiar structure to me. And but he played g3, so he went for. I think this can now be called the Reti setup. So this fianchetto, this English combined with fianchetto. I played d5 here, so this was the intention of playing e6. He played bishop g2, and now I was well. First of all, I was out of the book, and second of all, I had to come up with some plan. And now I would just like to say a few things about my opponent, or better, my opponent's profile. So first of all, you can see that my opponent is stronger in rating than myself. He's over 1900. I'm 1800 and something, but it's not so much the rating. But if you look at the profile of my opponent, you can see that he's much stronger than me in bullet, for example. So he's around 2000 in bullet, and I'm 1300, so he's much more stronger in bullet. And also blitz, he's 1900, I'm 1700, so he's stronger in blitz and bullet, much stronger than me. And well, this means that he's tactically much stronger, and that he has better board vision. So he's better tactician, and he has better board vision, he blunders less, and so on. Unlike me, who is not so good at tactics, although I do work on tactics a lot, but well, being adult improver, this is the cards you get to play with. So this is one thing, and so what can this, and also he has a better puzzle rating. So overall, he's much stronger in tactics than I am. About his positional game, I don't know. I guess he's pretty decent because he has high rating, over 1900 rating in classical chess, so he obviously knows how to play chess. But what can we say about preparation? So if you look the opening which my opponent chose, it's not something which gives him the maximum edge against me. And what do I mean by that? I'm obviously, if he took a look at my profile before the game, and I suppose he's and everybody's doing it, that then he could see that I'm tactically much inferior than himself. And this means that he should strive for open games, for aggressive openings, sharp openings, and well, just open the position and just win with tactics, win with brutal force against me. So this would be, if I would to give an advice to my opponent here, I would tell him that against the opponents like myself, who are tactically inferior than him, he should be playing something much more sharper, much more aggressive, and much more quicker than this slow English setup, which is very slow, very positional, very strategical, not much sharpness, not much tactical opportunities, and I think this wasn't the best choice for him, just based on his profile. So what would I advise my opponent here to play against me? I would say go aggressive, play King's Gambit, or play just e4, and then so try to develop as soon as possible. So play for quick development, opening the center, opening the game with active pieces, and then just smash me tactically, because I cannot win tactically against someone who is 2000 rating in bullet chess. So on the other hand, my strategy against the player who is tactically stronger than myself is to try to keep the position closed, to try to keep the position slow, and to try to hope that maybe I can outplay him in the positional manner, because this is the only chance I have to win the game. I cannot win tactically against this kind of player, so maybe I can win positionally, maybe not, but this is my only chance. So this is why my strategy was to try to keep things slower, so to get time to advance my pieces, to put them on the right places, and just try to wait until all my pieces are best placed and I'm happy with my pawn structure and everything, and then maybe I can launch some kind of attack, or which is more likely, maybe get a slight edge in the end game and then be more patient maybe in the end game and win the game like this. So this is one thing I think my opponent did wrong right from the beginning. So the opening and the approach he chose. Okay, so what am I to do here? There are several approaches. One is to say, okay, he's a passive. He played passive here, so I will play active. I will try to get an edge by playing actively against the passive setup which my opponent aims for. But since I'm first out of the book, and I was a little bit intimidated by my opponent and his rating and his obvious tactical abilities, so I chose to go passive as well. So I played c6. So now we are both passive, and I think I'm the one who benefits from this for the reasons I already told you. And what does this move does? Well, it just neutralizes his bishop. So this fianchetto light square bishop will be a very strong asset in his position. And now, right from the beginning, I'm just neutralizing. If he were to take the pawn, I can just take with my e pawn, and he can do nothing about it. And this bishop will not be dominating in the position like it oftentimes it is. Okay. He played d3 now. Okay, still passive. Knight f6. Now I'm just going to the normal development. What was the alternative here? Well, it was to play knight f6 immediately, knight e2, castle, maybe go to c5. This would be more aggressive and more active setup. But okay, I went for this Slav setup. Okay, knight f3. Now he's developing, and now I played the bishop to d6, and maybe this is not the best move. I realized in postmortem. So my idea was, well, why d6, why not e7, for example, or maybe something else. Well, because I wanted to, first of all, to get as much activity as I can, and bishop on d6 is theoretically more active than bishop on e7. Also, I wanted to control e5 because I realized that this could be a key square. So already here I realized that if I'm ever to break, to expand, to liberate my pieces, that will be most likely by e5. So I wanted to control e5 here. What are the fallbacks of this decision? First of all, this bishop is hitting to his fianchetto, so not much to do here on this diagonal. This is one thing. And another thing is, when you have a bishop and knight both on the 6th rank or 3rd rank, there is always this tactical opportunity that after e4, sometimes you have to think about e5, which can just fork your pieces. So this is always a tactical threat when you have this kind of constellation between bishop and the knight. So it's not immediate threat or danger, but it's something you have to keep constantly in mind. So maybe this wasn't the best choice, but it looks okay. I have this pyramid, you know, like in the London system. I have this pyramid, and well, bishop is active here, I'm also controlling e5. He castled, I castled. He now played the b3, so obviously he wants to develop his bishop. Notice that he cannot... this doesn't make any sense, this spin, because I can just kick the bishop away, and he cannot retreat here because he will lose the bishop. Of course, he can go wild and then sacrifice, and we'll have some wild game here with different attacks. But okay, let's say that I'm not afraid of this. So this doesn't make any sense. So he has to think about how to what to do with his bishop, and he decided to play b3. So he's going to go for the fianchetto, and I think it's okay. Knight bd7, so I'm developing my knight, and you can see that well, the consequence of playing this kind of setups, Slav setup, it's always that your light square bishop is undeveloped, and it will be undeveloped for a long time. There is no way to quickly develop the bishop. My plan is in the future to play e5 and then maybe move this knight somewhere, I don't know, maybe here, maybe here, and then release my bishop. But it's a long-term plan, and this bishop is not, it will not be quickly developed, and this is what it is in this kind of structures. So bishop b2, he continues with his plan, fianchettoing, queen to c7, okay. My constant plan is e5, but I'm not sure why was I delaying e5. For example, here I could play e5 immediately, maybe even earlier, maybe even before. Here also, why not? This will be quicker, this will be more active. But I guess I wanted to develop my pieces before I do anything in the position. So because before I do any pawn breaks, any expansions in the center or in the wing or anywhere, I wanted to develop my pieces. So maybe e5 was the best move in this position, but from my experience, if I start doing something active, something implementing some plan before my pieces are developed, it usually doesn't end up pretty well. So just from my personal experience, I like to first develop my pieces and then think about plans, or not think, but starting to implement different plans, including pawn breaks, pawn play, and so on. So I developed my piece, he developed, and now I develop my queen. So you can see that everything is aimed to this e5. I can even put my rook, and then I have this break in the center, and I can seize the center, and then maybe make my pieces most active. Knight bd2, so he develops, and now I play e5. So I didn't play rook to e8 because there is really no need. I have very good support of e5. So e5, c takes d5 now. Okay, I think he took some time. Yes, he took around 5 minutes, 4 or 5 minutes. So of course this is a very tricky position. There are many possibilities and many things to think about. And he decided to break my center, and well, I think this is okay because you can see that my pawns are very strong in the center. So he's trading his side pawn with my center pawn. So I guess this is okay. And now I had a decision here. So I could take with my knight, or I could take with my pawn. Well, taking with the pawn has several advantages. First, it gives me 2 center pawns. Sorry, for example, I didn't play this, but for example, so it gives me 2 center pawns, and also it prevents something I didn't see. It prevents knight coming to c4 and winning my bishop pair. I didn't see this, but now I see it. Okay. The drawback is that once this knight goes away, his bishop becomes very strong. I have 2 weaknesses, 2 weak pawns on this diagonal. I also have a rook on this diagonal, so there are skewers, some other tactics. If I move this bishop someday, then this pawn is weak, this pawn is weak, my rook is behind. So I should waste several moves just to support my pawns, and I wasn't very happy about this. So this was the reason I took this with knight, and also because I didn't see his next move. Maybe if I did see this move, maybe I would do differently, maybe not, I'm not sure. But anyway, after I capture with knight, I still have the domination of this bishop, because, well, now my pawns are here, and the bishop is looking at this pawns, and he cannot do anything. Also, you can see one more thing. If I took with the pawn, then he can play rook c1 and attack my queen and get control over this open file. But with this, with knight takes d5, well, this file, he cannot do anything with this file. Okay, Coco is having his comments. Okay, he played a knight to c4. Now he will win my bishop pair, but okay, it's not the end of the world. It will be nice if I have seen this, but I didn't. That doesn't really matter much. Rook to e8, I have to support now this pawn, because once he takes, I take, then I will lose one of the defenders for this pawn, and I have to overprotect this. It's very important pawn. Knight takes d6, queen takes d6, so he got my bishop pair, but it doesn't really matter, because this bishop is not very active, and this bishop also, you can see that I can play f6 at some point, which I will, and then, well, both of his bishops are not doing much. And if I manage to keep the position closed, then I have two knights, which can be very nice to have in the closed position. Rook c1, and this is the first move I can object to my opponent. I mean, really object, because it doesn't really do much. He did have some plans, and you will see that he realized the plan he was having. But this c file is not something worth fighting for or losing a move for, because he can never undermine my c6 pawn, and this file will remain closed forever. So I don't think this is worth wasting a move. Knight 7 to f6. So now what am I doing? Well, of course my light square bishop is still undeveloped, so I have to move my knight in order to develop the bishop. Queen to c2. Now he wants to exchange queens. Okay, and probably not just for the sake of exchanging queens, but also after we exchange queens, then his rook will end up on c5, and it will hit both my knight and my pawn here. You can see that my pawn is attacked twice. It's also defended twice, so if he would capture it, he would have to give 2 minor pieces for a rook, and this will not be good for him. But with rook here on c5, then he can maybe somehow undermine my knight here, and then he can have some threats here. I guess it was his idea, but on a more general level, I don't think that this decision to trade off the queens was good, because, like I said in the beginning, he's obviously a tactically stronger player than I am. If you are playing someone who is tactically inferior to you, weaker than you, then you want to keep your queens, because if you have queens on the board, then there are much more tactical opportunities, and you can also plan some kind of attacks on the king if you have the queen. But with queens off the board, the tactical opportunities are much less, and then he cannot take advantage of his tactical superiority. So if I was him, I wouldn't likely trade my queens unless I have an obvious gain. But here in this position, if we trade queens, we go into endgame. I don't see how he's better in the endgame. If anything, maybe I am even better. So I don't see what does he gain by exchanging the queens. or maybe exchanging any pieces, because if you are tactically stronger, you want to have your pieces and then to tactically outsmart your opponent. But if all the pieces are traded down, then there are not many tactical opportunities, and then maybe your opponent will be more patient in the end game and you will lose. Okay, bishop to g4 here. Okay, now it's high time to develop. I was calculating what if, and I realized I don't have really imminent dangers. This pawn can be defended, over defended if need be. So I decided finally to get my my dude out and just to develop the bishop on g4. It's just the most natural square to develop the bishop, and also you can see that the bishop here has one nice feature, and this is that it directly makes pressure on e2, which is undefended pawn. Not right now, but it will be undefended. And also I can just take the knight if ever I was intimidating by the possibility. So the knight I can just swap it off. Queen to c5, so he goes on with his plan. I was thinking about something like rook to d6, but then if he takes, I take, he puts his rook here. I'm not very happy with this position, so I decided to take the queen. And he takes back. And we are now in a position which would, I believe, Grandmaster Jesse Cry would say this is old man chess. So this is now purely positional chess from now on. So I think the tactical opportunities by putting the queens off the table, and you can see that the position is pretty closed with many pawns on the board, minor pieces. So we are now going into positional phase of the game, and this favors old men and old men who are maybe not tactically as sharp, but maybe can score by being more patient, or maybe they understand maybe some pawn structures better and some positional principles because old men read books and so on. So this is what Grandmaster Jesse Cry means about old man chess, and this is the old man chess position. And I think that this position, by the character of my play and my chess profile, favors me. Although, well, the engine can say that white is a little better, black is a little better, but it doesn't matter. If you look at the profile, my chess profile, my lichess profile, and my opponent's lichess profile, this is the position which gives me some chances. I played knight d7, so again overprotecting the pawn, because this pawn was attacked twice and defended only once, so I had to protect the pawn, and also this comes with tempo because I'm attacking the rook. Rook to c4, so he has to move away rook somewhere, and now he's doing this with tempo, attacking my bishop. Bishop h5 here, so I'm still making pressure on this e2 pawn. a3. Okay. So he has to do something, so he's trying to have maybe some counterplay on the queen side. And now I have to think about what about this pawn. It's attacked twice, it's defended twice, but it wouldn't hurt to have this overprotected, so I played f6, and also with the idea that, well, maybe at some point I can... that at some point I can go to f7. And then on f7 I have a very nice control of this long diagonal, which is good to have the bishop on this kind of a diagonal, and also I'm making some pressures here. So this f6 move is multifunctional. It covers e5 pawn and also makes room for the bishop. And you can see one other feature of this position. Well, now his both bishops are neutralized in this pawn structure. Of course, he can change the pawn structure, and this is something he should be thinking about doing. But at this point, this bishop is looking at this pawn chain, and this bishop is looking at this pawn chain, and you can see that both his bishops they don't play. They were fianchettoed, and they just stay here. This will be like this until the end of the game. And now at this point I was out of plans, so I wasn't sure what to do. Everything looked nice. Okay, he played rook d1. It was his move, sorry. So he played rook d1, obviously supporting the d4 push. Okay, and what to do now? I was out of the plans because I realized maybe this piece is unprotected. Maybe in some instances, if he would to attack, I don't know. Maybe this could be this could be. For example, he could push. I can take. He could chase my knight, and then he has this discard attack. Okay, I don't have any particular variation in which I get to lose this knight, but theoretically it is possible. So this can be cleared, and this knight can be attacked, and then this knight maybe can be threatened. So wherever you have an undefended piece in your position, you should be aware of that. Sometimes in some way it can be exploited, maybe even this. Okay, so this is one thing in position. And another thing is that, in my opinion, here I got my pawn structure fine, my pieces, I'm pretty satisfied with my pieces and the perspectives my pieces have. So I just wanted to wait and see what he will do. And this is why I played rook a to d8. So just activating my rook, putting it in the center. I'm giving the protection to this knight. I'm also countering his rook. This move doesn't accomplish much. It's not a bad move, but it's a waiting move. So I want to see what will he do next. Will he go for e4 or will he go for d4 push, or maybe he would try to do something with activating his pieces. I'm not sure. So this is why I play this. Better thing to do was to come up with an active plan. So instead of playing a waiting move, which slightly improves your position, let's say, I should be thinking about more active plans, and this plan should be a5. So I have a majority on the queen side, and this b3 pawn is a weakness because he played a3 at some point, if you remember. So here he played a3. So immediately b3 became weakness. So if I was to play a5 here, I'm fixing this pawn. If he pushes the pawn, well, then I just have, so if he pushes the pawn, I can just take, he takes, and then I have activity on the a file with my rook. If he, I don't know, if he pushes a4, then I can just, well, I have this very nice place, very nice outpost for my knight, because there are no pawns which can challenge it. So a5 would be a good move. And now I would fix the b3 pawn, and then after bishop to f7, I can really start making some serious pressure on b3. Also, I have my knight, which can help with the pressure. So a5 here in this position, a5 would be some kind of active plan which could benefit me. Okay, I didn't see this in the game, and this is maybe the main lesson for myself from the game. My main mistake here was to wait and to see what my opponents will do, instead of coming up with an active plan which actually does something. And a5 was the plan here. Okay, I played rook a to d8, and now he played king to f1. So he realizes that this e7, e2 weakness is something to think about, because, well, in this position he cannot move this knight because of this weakness, and also then this pawn falls and so on. So he played king to f1, and now, well, I'm just thinking about improving my pieces. Maybe bishop f7 would be the best move, just piling up the pressure on this diagonal. But I was still thinking that this pawn could be weak. For example, if somehow I move this this pawn away, this e pawn, then I have two attackers on e2. So I wasn't very reluctant to move this bishop away from this this pressure, and maybe this would be the best move, just activating, making my bishop more active. But okay, I played knight to b6, so now I'm just making some more room for my pieces, and also with the tempo. So he cannot do much here. He has to go back. He could have tried something like maybe go here, but it's tricky business because I can attack. Of course, I would have to move my bishop, but I don't care. So if he plays rook to h4, I can just move my bishop to f7, attacking this pawn, and then maybe even try to trap his rook. So he played rook c to c1. I played rook to d7. So I'm still in the kind of waiting mode, but not pure waiting. But I want to see what he will do. So I can double up rooks on the e file, or I could double up rooks on the d file. So it depends what he will do. Will he play e4, or he will play d4, or he will do something else. So I'm now flexible to choose where do I want my rooks doubled. So this was the logic behind the move. And he played d4. So finally, I don't mean this literally, but he lost his nerves. So there was all the time there was his this tension, maneuvering pieces, and nobody wanted to break the position and to change something with the pawns. So finally he was the one doing this. I don't mean this is a bad move. It can be a fine move, but he had time maybe to prepare this better. I'm not sure how, but maybe he could choose to do something else with his pieces and to prepare this move better, maybe doubling up the rooks, or I don't know. But okay, anyway, he now finally did something. I mean, I wasn't doing anything aggressive, and neither was he. And now this is well, maybe the first real encounter of forces. So we had our two armies were in its own camps, and they were looking out at each other over the field, and now finally there is some kind of clash. So what to do here? Okay, I can capture, or I can push the pawn. Those are basically two options, and I decided to push the pawn, to play for e4, because now his knight has to go to some kind of awkward place. For example, the best move here was a knight to h4. And now after I move my bishop to f7, I think I'm better, because well, his pieces are not very coordinated. So he has these two bishops. This bishop is blocked by his own pawn. This bishop is blocked by my pawn, and this pawn can be further supported. It's not a problem. I can bring a rook, or bring a pawn if need be to support it. His knight is on the edge of the board, so I don't see how his pieces are coordinated. And if you imagine my bishop being on f7, okay, I can play this, then you can see that my pieces are, I think, better coordinated here. So I would prefer to be black in this position. So this was I played e4, because I thought, well, when he moves his knight, I will have better position. And here he made a blunder, so he played knight to d2. And he immediately allowed me to play e3, now with the double threat. Now I'm threatening to take the knight, and I'm also threatening to take the pawn. And after I take the pawn, well, now I have this e2 pawn on my disposal, and also I can use the e2 square to penetrate my opponent's position. So it turns out that it was good that I didn't move this bishop to f7, that I did maintain this pressure, because now it's the key thing in the position. What could he do here? If he wanted to save his knight, the only thing he can do is to play knight to c4. And if you wanted to save material, I mean, because obviously if he takes, I can take, and then I fork. I don't just fork a knight and rook, but I also fork the bishop. So in order to stay in the game, he should have played knight to c4, but now there are many things I can do here. For example, I can just well, take the pawn, and now I'm threatening this, and I'm threatening to penetrate, and my other rook is here to come. Once I penetrate, I attack both bishops, for example, or I can make a fork here. So there are many possibilities here. And he saw this, and he decided that he doesn't like the prospects of me penetrating the position in this way, and he just decided to give away the exchange. So he saw the fork, he told me after the game, but he wanted to, he thought that, well, by giving up the exchange he has better prospects. And of course I immediately took, so knight takes e3 with check. Now I'm forking. And well, it's not just that he will lose the exchange, but he cannot stop me penetrating here with my rook. If he moves to e1, then I can just pick up the free bishop with check. If he goes to, I don't know, f2, then I take the rook with check. After he takes rook, I penetrate with check, attacking everything on this file. The best move, engine says it's g1, but it's the same. I take the rook, I take the pawn. I'm exchange up, I'm a pawn up, and I am also penetrating his position, and I have the control over on the open file on the board. My other rook is coming very soon. So he saw all that, and he resigned in this position. He decided that, well, he'll lose the exchange, he'll lose the pawn, and I will penetrate with my rooks on the second rank, and he decided it's not worth playing. And if you turn on the engine, I'll just turn it on for a very brief moment, so -6, so okay. And he resigned the game, and I won the first game in the round. So okay, this is it. I'm satisfied how I played this game. I ran the engine. I didn't make any blunders. In fact, I made 4 inaccuracies and 0 mistakes and 0 blunders. But the position was so that there were not many opportunities to make a blunder. So we both played a passive, slow position, and it looks like that I just outplayed my opponent. He didn't see that I can push my pawn all the way, and this costed him the game. Okay, thank you very much for watching. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please click the like button, subscribe to my channel, leave the comment below, share the video, recommend it to your friends, and see you very soon with more chess. Cheers.